Well, good afternoon, YouTube, members of MRYCG and the broader Model Railway Enthusiasts organisation, or loosely put on the internet. So welcome to Partickhill Station for another update running session. And I've got a few things to show you, which I think you might be interested in. So let's just see if there's anybody in here with any comments as yet. It's early afternoon here, and my timing is a little bit off. But you know, we're live, we're here, and there's somebody watching. That's always a good thing. So, you know, I've done a few things the last day or two because I had some spare time and thought I'd work on a few things. And excuse me, one little modeling tip is, you know, if you have one of these, a paper copy of an arch, and you're really not sure what you're going to do with it. Excuse me. I have a few of these different colors around the perimeter of the layout. And oh, excuse me. And they're flat. They get no depth to them. As you can see, there's a bit of dark lining around the arch. But you can improve on this, and it's really quite simple. All you have to do is make a copy of it, and that will give you you know, so then it will give you this, and you can then cut that arch out. So that's what I did. I cut the arch out, and there's the arch. And then all you have to do is take the copy, take the brick arch, and paste it over the top of the original, and you know, it's a whole different scene you've got going there. And then you can finish it off. You can color in the top of the bricks and the inside edge. Excuse me. And that looks so much better. Now, there's other things you can do, of course. You can cut the opening out altogether in this one. Make a new opening, or the brick behind, and mount that to a piece of card, and then put it on the back. And then it's a whole other dimension that you've added 3D value to your layout, and it gives you so many other options. And you can do that with anything around here. Just cut, paste, add it in, and yeah, then you'll build up a better looking model. And you know, you can do anything, like as I said, you can build walls with it, mount it onto foam core, separate some of your track, and it looks quite good. So what do you think about... Oh, hi, Clive. Good to have you on here. How are things in Northern Ireland? Now, are you... My wife is back at work having COVID-19. Well, that means you've got time to yourself to play around with the model railway. Yeah, so I'm just going to ask what your opinions are on the new Hornby issues that were announced the other day with great fanfare by the Monday Club. They had to bite their tongue until the appropriate time. It's a bit ridiculous, but what's even more ridiculous are the prices. I don't know what your opinion is, but I certainly wouldn't pay. I'll never buy a new model from Hornby or Bachmann or any of them. That is just madness. I may have paid just over $100. I paid $100 for the APT each. Each one was $100. I paid $100 for less than $100 for the Euro train, and the 125s less than $100 for the sets. And I know that was a couple of years ago, and they're a few years older. But seriously, you must all be rolling in cash if you can spend that type of money on new locomotives, because to each their own. And if that's what you want to do with your hard-earned cash, that's fine. But I'm not certainly in that market. I'm happy with what I've got. I get things to run. Sometimes they stop running, but it just takes a little bit of awareness, and as I'm doing now, just to get things back on track at the worst case scenario. Anyway, most of the problems that I find are kind of self-made because, I'm not paying attention to what's going on, and if there's a bad point, then just have to work with it, as I'm doing right now, just trying to do half a dozen things at the same time. Anyway, just I ran some of the trains last night just in preparation for today. Yeah, Clive, it's ridiculous. People get more money than sense. You hear about the cost of electricity going up in the UK, but they're still going out and spending £200 or £300 on a new locomotive. Would you rather be warm and comfortable or have an expensive model locomotive? I really shouldn't comment on it because my situation is quite different here. We don't have extortionate costs for heating and cooling and gas and all the rest, as you may have in the UK and Northern Ireland. But £200 or £300 is a bit rich for me, and as I said, not that I can't afford it, I just won't pay it. I mean, it's nonsense. However, I can remember a number of years back, before there was modernisation in the hobby, and I'd go to uh, model railway shows here in the Toronto area and see all these big layouts um, from North American guys, and they have these big locos, and you've seen one or two that I've got, like this one, and that'll crawl. It'll just crawl, and it's really heavy. And I don't know, if you paid $100 for this new or thereabouts, that would be reasonable. And I remember the first locomotive I bought was a Princess, the Triang Princess, and I had trouble getting it to run. Even though at that time I didn't have the layout, I had a piece of track on the floor, and I'd run it from one end to the other. And meanwhile, you go at the shows and see all these North American ones crawling, and go, what is the problem here? Now, certainly, round about that time, had I have paid maybe $100, I could have got a brand new Princess Hornby one, or whatever. I might have paid 50 or 60 for the Triang. Can't remember, but I guess you could say, well, it's all relative, Charlie. So it's just, I'm so far out of touch with salaries and incomes in the UK. I really couldn't guess how things work over there. But £200 or £300 seems like an awful lot of money. It's $500 or thereabouts. No, there's no way, I'm afraid. Anyway, so another thing I'd like to show you is, you remember I spoke about getting my shuttle service running, and I purchased what I believe to be a shuttle printed circuit board that would do the job, and with Mark Donegal Dad's help, he identified it as a signal board. Oh dear, signal board. How did that happen, Charlie? And the result from that was, yeah, I'll do a giveaway, and the lucky winner, as you know, was Jason, Barnabas Junction. And Newland Railway, good evening, and how are you today? Good of you to drop in. So now I'm talking about the shuttle, the end-to-end one, and I contacted a guy, wehonest.cn or something like that, and I explained to him my error and asked if I could return it, and he said, well, it costs too much to return it. If you want to, just keep it. And look, if you really want one, try this. Here's a couple you can look at. and let me know. So I did, and I picked one, and he said it might be 4 or 5 weeks. This was before Christmas. So in the mail a couple of days ago, I got this, and this is a controller for the shuttle. Yeah, I'll just get it out here. Now it should be simple enough. There you go. It should be simple enough to operate. And you see this is a heat sink on the top there. That's interesting that they put that on. I guess it generates a fair amount of heat. Paul Higgins, good afternoon or good evening, Paul. Yeah, there you go. There's a perfect example, Newland. Like if you're going to going to a model railway show, you could have probably picked up 4 or 5 times as many as you bought from Bachmann. But it's all personal choice, and I can't argue with that. Anyway, looks like a nice little unit. I'll need to get it wired up and tested, and basically there's a cable in and a cable out, and hopefully it's that simple. And I'll go to try and find the instructions on the website. But they were, they gave me a little connector, which is good. I'm assuming that'll connect in there, and then the other end. Well, I need to find exactly where I can put the other end. Anyway, that's Prince William pulling the royal train around there, and a princess class pulling those custard and I was going to say custard and cream, but that's not right. I'll just say, lost for a word at the moment, red and cream, scarlet and cream or something like that. Anyway, Tom Houston. How are you, Tom? You're never late, as they say. I won't repeat what they say on the Monday Club, because that would be stealing their thunder. But I've seen the movie, I read the book. You're never late. You know the story. Anyway, you just came in at an appropriate tip. There's Clive. Let's see what Clive has got to say. My first train set was a Tri Ingredients Blue Pullman and 2 E3000 Class 81. Oh, wow. Now, do you still have them, Clive? That's a $64,000 question. My first train set, when I was living in Glasgow, I might have been about 12 at the time. My dad wasn't working. He'd had a couple of heart attacks, so I knew that things were kind of tight. So when my mother asked, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas?" and I really wanted an electric train set. I had coveted one for a number of years, but there was a store in Glasgow called Birrs, BIRSS apostrophe S, and they always had wonderful toys on display. And of course, they had the Triang Hornby train sets, and they had a Clockwork train set, which was much cheaper. So I asked for the Clockwork train set, and the circular track, and I used shoe boxes for tunnels and that kind of stuff. So that was my first train set. Yes, Paul, I saw Double O Bill's video last night, and it was one of the 150 whatever class um, commuters, and I'll run my class 156 and maybe the old Triang DMU, the green one. Uh, so it's pretty simple, and of course, um, but in Bill's video, you'll notice that he had it with it was driven at both ends, and of course that was a little bit of a challenge for him, but he solved it. Of course he did. You should know better, Charlie. He solved it, and that's what it's all about with Bill. Yeah, I'm still waiting on. I know he's busy. I'm still waiting on the multimeter instructional video. Three rail set. Wow. And is it in good nick, Tom? I've got a Hornby Double O Duchess around here somewhere. It's in a terrible state of repair, and I'll have to decide what I'm going to do with it, because there may be someone better equipped to deal with it and maybe repair it. The motor still runs. It's just missing linkage and rods and a good cleanup. And I do have the local and the tender. So anyway, so I'm going to show you something interesting. Let's see, still have the E through 3001. Yeah, they're really nice locos, and I've got one, the Phoenix. It's a nice loco. I like that one. So I always like to come up with something different, and today's not any different. There's something new here today, and I think you'll enjoy this. Now, I've got a 3D printer. And I've printed a couple of things with a 3D printer. But before the 3D printer, I participated in one of these Kickstarter programs, and it was for a 3D pen. Now, I'd read some, at the time I was working in engineering technology, and I was into CAD and systems and everything else. And I was always looking for something new. How can we take this technology and put it into our workflow and make it work for our benefit and for the clients? And so in some of my researches, I came across this opportunity to put some backing into one of these Kickstarter programs. And it was for a 3D pen. Excuse me. Now, this has got to be maybe 10 years ago, maybe a wee bit more. Anyway, I gave them some money, and sometime later, excuse me, I received a package in the mail. It came in a nice box, and complete instructions here, 3D doodler. And it also included a few packages of filament. to be used, and these are PLA filament, and that's what I use in my 3D printer. And of course, it came with the requisite plug and here's the pen itself. Now, you got to remember, let me just get this up here. You got to remember that this was a prototype, and since we just got our grandson a 3D doodler pen for his age group, and he's doing wonderful things with it. And it's not as big and cumbersome as this one, but it's quite comfortable. You just have to get used to using it. You know, you plug it in the end. You take the filament, push it in until it engages. A light will come on. As soon as you plug it in, the red light comes on, and you wait until it goes green, and then you push this further until it engages, and then you press a button and you start doodling. So you probably think, well, okay, Charlie, but what am I going to do with that? Well, it just depends how much work you're going to put into it, what your imagination is like, and you know, it's up to the individual to find something that works. I'm just having a problem with the camera here. Yeah, just bear with me while I work through this. As I say, trying to do half a dozen things at the same time. Let's just see if we can. Yeah, okay, so you would ask yourself, what are you going to do with that, Charlie? Well, let me just show you. I'm going to show you a little video I made just before I jumped on here, and that's why I was a bit late going live. So I think you'll enjoy this because it will give you an idea of what is possible. And remember, it's not perfect, and it is a prototype. So let's just have a look at this. A signal, but a lattice type, then all you'd have to do is just sketch something out like this. And then you start printing it. So let's just see what happens. Okay, so I hope you can see what's going on here. I've sketched out a lattice post for a signal. And now I'm going to try and 3D print the design that you see there. So let's see what happens. Okay, you can see that it's printing, and I've actually got a white coloured filament in here. Now this takes a bit of practice. So you should never give up. Okay, so and as you see already, you've been able to lift it off the paper. So it's very delicate. And it's not perfect. And as you can also see, there is a bit of stringing going on. But at the end of the day, you know, you've got something that is actually 3D printed, as you can see. And, you know, it's a beginning. And what you have to remember is this is a prototype version that came out a few years ago. And, you know, I got this before I got a 3D printer. And it's been in a box for a number of years. I haven't really done anything with it. But there are possibilities there, so I just thought you'd find that interesting. So let's say you want to make anyway, so there you go, a 3D printing pen. And as I said, it's a prototype. It has limitations, and you could say, yeah, as XMG12 said, it looks like fun, and it's probably a fun item. But the company that came up with the concept had bigger plans for it. I'm not really sure which direction they went with it, but you know, printing something like that, yeah, it takes a bit of skill and a bit of effort. And is it worth it? No, it's probably not worth it to do that, but that's not the point. The point is that, you know, you're doing something with technology that had never been done before, and you know, you give it a shot, and there's every possibility that you might be able to use it for something. And it's only through experimentation and exploration that you'd find a use for it. So that was a 3D pen, and the basic principle of it is you can sketch anything out on a piece of paper, and then go over it, go over the outline with the 3D pen. And the big positive side of it is you can just keep layering over the top. And our grandson did that with a little car that he made, and he just kept adding to it. So it really has potential, and probably sort of more in the art side. Let's see, there's Tom get a comment. Yeah, it looks interesting, perhaps better for drawing organic shapes like trees and regular. Yeah, see, you're right on, Tom. Yeah, if you wanted to experiment with bushes, you can do bushes or do trees, as Tom said, and then put flock on it. That's what it's all about. Good call, Tom. Yeah, exactly. Um, so talking about people you don't see or hear of, uh, Rob Johnson. Rob Johnson used to be a regular visitor. Um, he sent me a couple of his trees. He made with wire, like excellent. And I haven't seen or heard of Rob for some time. Maybe he's busy at work, if he's doing shift work, wherever. Um, yeah. So I guess I'll try and give you a look here at. Anyway, you saw what I did with the retaining wall and the brick that I had been searching for. Now, when I first used that paper, um, I had told you that let me just. I had told you that we had. I'd gone to Staples, got this printed on the best paper that they had. They had the photo type paper, and it turned out that that wasn't the best application because it was a bit thicker and gave me some issues trying to fold it around corners. And on top of that, it's got a kind of glossy surface, and I'll need to go back into that and spray it with a matte spray to get rid of there's a little bit of a sheen on it. Alan Reynolds, Alan in the loft, how are you doing? What are you up to these days, Alan? So what are you up to tonight? Well, Alan, I just demonstrated my 3D pen just for Alan's benefit. No, it's not a submarine or a rocket, although it might look like that. It's a 3D pen. Comes out that end, the filament goes in there, and what you do is basically sketch on paper and then use this to print it. Great technology. And I'm sure I'm sure you're all going to rush out and get one. And it just did a little bit of simple modeling, Alan, with taking something like that, copying it, and cutting out the arch, and then taking the arch and putting it on, and that gives an additional 3D effect. All that simple stuff. So, oh yeah, and Tom, the Duchess of Athol. There you go. That's Hornby 00. And you can see it's a totally different kettle of fish. It's cast iron or whatever, and there's the motor, and it runs. So the motor's not a problem. I don't have any gears for it. I should maybe look into seeing about that and then checking it out. But like everything else, there are so many things on the list, and I try to prioritize what I have to do and try and make time for it. But sometimes I kind of fall behind. And this morning and last night, I was working on a bridge. Now, I'm going to jump out for a second. I'll get the bridge and I'll be right back. So talk amongst yourselves. So I made it up and down the stairs. You didn't have to dial 911 had I not shown up. Anyway, see, there's an interesting little thing that I did. You know, that's 3D printed. I did it all at the same time, just connected it all up. I didn't do it in bits. I did it one at a time. I did the base, and then I started building the other 4 columns and beams, right? Okay, so as many of you know, I did a model of a bridge that I had seen on Tony Northeastern's layout. And I did most of it and set it aside because I wasn't sure what my plans were going to be for the layout. At one point, as you may know, I was going to have an elevated track running around, but I decided too many things to be done at this level, let alone going to a second level. And as such, the bridge kind of fell by the wayside. But there was a couple of things I had to do to finish it off. And last night, I worked on it and made a few other struts and diagonals. And did that on, well, I've got to finish that end, but so there you go. And, you know, what I'll do with it from this point is, well, actually, I might be able to describe it. I'm going to run some plastic rod across here as a sort of handrail. And I found some kind of screen material at the local automotive hardware store that might come in useful to put across here at the level of the handrail. So, oh, Tom, what a brilliant observation. I never thought about that. But yeah, you could say that's what it is. Interesting. Tom's right on the ball today. Oh, White Wall Wheels. Yeah, hi, how are you? And welcome back. I saw you in my last broadcast, but I was just closing down as you appeared. So, how are you and where are you? Well, actually, uh, this isn't a plastic bridge. I made it out of uh, mat board material that you use for framing paintings. It's a bit tough cutting, and you go through of a number of blades using that material, but it's worth it. It's very sturdy, and I actually built all of the sections out of two pieces, glued them together, and then attached them. And I made a whole video about that if you were interested. Um, 300 miles north of London. Is that in the northeast? I'm guessing. Um, all right, guys, 300 miles north of London. Anyway, welcome to Partickhill Station, wherever you're from. So, yeah, I'll put this screen material along here, and I'll put a couple of rods to suggest handrail, and then I've got a roadway cut out for it, and I've got two choices. Either it goes in that corner there. Now, let's just see here. So either it will go in that corner there where you see the black card. It might go there, or it will go right across here. And that'll be another sort of scenic break. So I'm not really sure where that will take us. We all do that. I'm getting Fox transfer to make class 150/2 and class 156 DMU number set made up for me. They already made up class A1 rule number and set for my actually, let's just answer that question about does it bend or warp? It does a little bit, but not bad, and it's very rigid, very strong. I didn't do the calculations, but I know the geometry of designing a bridge. So I did it. I took that approach, and I fabricated everything. The main span beam, I fabricated that. So from a distance, you won't really know the difference. It looked pretty real, and I've got a little bit of rusting. You might have noticed the rust. So anyway, let's just get up. Yeah, see, what I find with my iPhones is that they'll cut out every now and again. for no apparent reason. Yeah, and as I say, I'm not really sure what causes that. Whether it's there might be a message trying to come through the Wi-Fi. With heat or damp or weather, yeah, it won't bend anymore. It bent only because of the glue. Because I used white glue, and when you do that, you'll get warpage somewhere. Um, but as I say, you don't even notice it. You won't notice it. Um, I was quite happy with the outcome of that. So, yeah, as I say, there was a lot of fanfare about the Hornby locomotives, but as Alan Reynolds will point out, he can still find bargains, and he does with a regular basis. Uh, and always look forward to see what he's got next. Um, so the other day, I did a short video and I sent it to the attention of Barry Davies, because Barry, being the expert that he is and a big fan of the Black Five, um, pointed out some of the problems with the 54192, I think it was. Uh, the tender would break away where the wire comes through, and I've got two of them like that, and so the tender's kind of separated by the locomotive, and the locomotive tugs it along. It doesn't look that good. Yeah, well, I'll look forward, Alan, to see what you're up to tonight. Whether I'll see it tonight or early in the morning, we'll see. Uh, yeah, Tom, it is, and Barry said, there's an alternative, and he demonstrated the alternative. He was able to put a pin, as we now have in the more modern hornby locomotives, where you get the pin coming from a tender into the copper hole in the trailing bar. Um, so I don't have it here, but give me a second. I got to get the connector for the laptop. Yeah, if it's not one thing, it's another. I had the battery. I had all the batteries fully charged be, long before I started, because I was recording the 3D doodler. Try Abdul Bill. Some sellers left when eBay changed their payments to this. There are a lot more on there now. what there used to be. Oh, okay. Hey, John, you know, like, don't apologize. Just happy that you made it. And I hope you like what you see. And a brass washer on two of mine. Well, yeah. I guess that's another way of doing it. Uh, £8 for a small coupling is crazy. You're not kidding. Yeah, eBay was used to be a good place. I got a lot of stuff off eBay years ago, before I had the layout. Um, I'd sometimes have to go to other locations for project work, and you get expenses, and I would take some of that, save it, and then buy something off eBay, and that's how I got many of the locos that I have. But it's Double O Bill. Never heard of it, so we'll check it out. Cheers. Yeah, let us know what you find, Bill. Um, yeah, but now it's just madness, absolute madness. Now there's that camera going off again. Yeah, so it is madness, but I imagine people are paying these ridiculous prices for eBay. But what gets me more than anything is what they charge for shipping, and so there's no way I can buy any small items, uh, parts, spares, anything like that, because you just get ripped off. And I'm not really sure if it's eBay or it's the seller. But I did hear the story that uh, there was a practice by some unscrupulous people, wherein they would order something from eBay, and then after receiving it, they would send a note and say, "Oh, I never received it. I want my money back." And of course, eBay's policy was, uh, you were guaranteed to get your money back if something went wrong. And I guess that mounted up in terms of dollars, and then, of course, trust. So I'd heard that eBay started putting kind of standard prices to cover insurance and tracking, all that kind of crap. And so the honesty bit went right out the window. And as a result, for guys like myself, it's difficult. But, I've been able to get a number of things in recent times from a few trusted stores in the UK. And, I will be uh, placing the order for with lendings for the card and the motor, um, for the Pendolino. And I need maybe a new motor for the Eurostar, um, and a couple of other odds and ends. So once again, I'll be going through, making a little list uh, before I send it out there, because I don't want to order two or three things at different times and pay for postage. But doing it that way, it's more reasonable. I don't ship anything without proof of release, so you can't get screwed by the buyer. what killed it was when eBay started charging to. Yeah, okay, so there you go. That kind of explains it, because that way it'd cover part of their costs, um, and it's very unfortunate. Many good things come to an end from time to time. So um, we got some snow overnight, not a lot, but uh, kind of unseasonable. We usually maybe get one big dump in January, or just before Christmas, and that never happened. So we're lucky at the moment, but it's chilly. So um, yeah, Bill, I received this in the mail. I just go to the. I received this in the mail from we underscore honest dash .cn. Now, interestingly enough, and that's the shuttle uh, PCB, and it came from the UK. So in Middlesex. So I'm not sure. I thought it was from a Chinese company, and it very well might be, because what they might be doing is shipping to the UK as a depot and then sending them out from there. But I have received a couple of things direct from China. But interesting to note, um, it might say, well, that's like a MOSFET or a heat sink. And, you get this little attachment. So one would go in there, and the other one, I'll need to look into that to see uh, where I can plug it in, because presently over here I have one of the. Let me just see. Right there, I have one of those little controllers, um, and I was using that for a while, but I had a problem with the speed control. So what I might do is unplug that and plug that in to that, and then I can run the shuttle. That might work. Oh, and this has been in the box for a few years. This nice little diesel, and this came as part of the Hornby Club uh, offering. Uh, Become a member and get a locomotive. So that's what they sent me. Beautiful little thing. Runs great. But as I say, it's not really been on the track. Yeah, lovely shiny handrails. Yeah, yeah, brand new, right? Uh, are you referring to this, Tom? Anyway, we'll find out in the next day or two. And so, the upcoming uh, work. Well, there goes that camera again. Never really sure. As I said, it just comes and goes. Just trying to get back in. Oh, the big chip on it, yes. Yes, they are. I was lucky to get those, and for some reason, I thought I had a fourth one somewhere, uh, but I dug these out a few weeks back, and right now I'm in the process of trying to improve my organization here, because like everybody else, I probably, and I shouldn't say this because my wife might be watching somewhere. Um, you know, I could say I have too much stuff, and that would be probably true. But um, you know, as I say, I'm trying to organize it, catalog it, and it's an ongoing task because you know sometimes I'm in the hardware store or the dollar store, and I'll look around and um, I go, oh, what's that? I could probably use that for something. H bridge motor driver. Yeah, Tom, I'm really not sure. Um, I'm really not sure about that one. Um, which one, Paul? Uh, which locomotive were you referring to? 2903. Yeah, that is 2903. 2903, 2904, and 2020 or 2030. I think that's 2020. So I might have another coach. I don't know if that's just the three of them or there's actually four. Donegal Dad, Mark, how are you? I was watching uh, your little tour. Uh, you know, it looks so much different the way you presented it from what it is when you do the live uh, broadcast. Yeah, it looked really, really good. Congratulations on that. And by the sound of it, you're going to be doing a kind of series uh, on how you built it and sort of how to for those interested. Um, Barnabas Junction, the big winner. So, Jason, have you set up and done those signals yet? Um, or the small diesel? Yeah, yeah, that one. Oh, I've got a runaway train. I need to send it around. So Mark, I guess that's your plan. You'll do a series of programs. Hornby used to give a free 040. Yeah, exactly, and that's where I got that one. I also got the little small 040 as a gift from Hornby. I think I packed it away. Yeah, it was a good way to get some small stuff, and they run fine and look good. So yeah, that's good, Mark. I'm always very interested in see how others approach the layout with the space that they have. And what I liked about yours, I've never really noticed it before on the live shows, was the height and the two levels. Now that certainly expands your running, no question. Well, that's good. Um, okay, so here's another thing. So I do have one of these. Um, Years ago, a friend of mine with a big layout, he started to get into digital. So he bought, first of all, the introductory set that was being sold by Hattons. You got one of those, and you got I think you got two locos, one steam and one diesel, and a couple of wagons for a ridiculously low price. And I guess that was them trying to introduce everybody to the hobby, or not just to the hobby, but to DCC. Anyway, sometime later, um, I saw one for sale at Hattons, and I bought it. And I thought, well, maybe I can get around to this. And this is a few years ago, and never really did get around to it because, well, actually, I did. I bought a couple of chips, but I didn't get around to putting them onto any local, and they're in a drawer somewhere. Um, but what I don't have, I don't have the power input, although I've probably got enough adapters like this to find one that will fit. The 15 volts is no problem because I think they're all 15 volts. Um, but I'm assuming that the other wires will just be any old wire uh, to the track, and there are track A, track B. Basically, that's one track, I'm assuming. In fact, Mark, I think you sent me a copy of instructions for that, and I'll need to go over that again. Hey, Clive, nice of you to drop by. Have a good evening. Yeah, so I'll need to. I've got that on my phone, and I'll need to go back in and read it because if it's and I've got track connectors, and what I thought I might do is take one track. Now, this is where I'm not clear. If I took one track and I added the DCC to it, as long as I don't have the DC hooked up and powered to that track, I can run the DCC on it. That's another big question. But yeah, it's like everything else. You know, you pick up things, and if you don't get to them immediately, they kind of fall by the wayside, and that's what happened. So, you know, I end up with boxes of stuff, and I go in and go, oh, where did I get that? So, anyway. Well, that's an interesting concept, Bill. You know, I'm quite happy with what I've got. It would be interesting just to see how one or two would run. My original concept of DCC was that I could take an old Princess like this and get it to run better. But I was told, no, Charlie, it doesn't work that way. The local has to run good, and then you can control it with DCC. Okay, Andrew, thanks for dropping by. And Barnabas Junction. We'll catch you later, and let's see what you do with that signal thing. Yeah. Anyway, so an hour and 18 minutes. I've covered, I think, all the topics I wanted to speak about. Yeah, there's. I printed this on my 3D printer. Printed quite a few of them. Turned out quite nice. You just need to paint them and weather them, and you'd never know the difference. You don't try to, or inadvertently try to run two controllers. Yeah, Tom, I'm suspecting that would be the case. I think it's a case of don't have a non-DCC train on the track when you're running a DCC train, if that makes sense. Yes, it doesn't run well on DC. It won't run. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I was told a while back. So, you know, at that point, I thought, no. And when I began to see the prices of the chips go up and up and up and up, I thought, there's no way. I can't take all these locomotives and spend all that money to put them in, because you know, I got a bunch of chips. I don't know what they are. I mean, I can't really tell what the manufacturer was, and I put them in a bag somewhere. But you know, the problem is, I don't know which one is which, and the only way to find out is to install them. And that means cutting the wires on the existing DC and then attaching it and then trying it. But I think my friend had these and they didn't work for whatever reason, or they don't work in this local, or they don't work in that local. Maybe Mark or one of you other guys who've got experience on that would shed some light on that topic. Do they always work? Do they work in every locomotive? Is there a problem that one should be aware of? One thing that I've noticed recently, and I've kind of paid attention to, is in the early days when I was running stuff and broadcasting, oh yeah, insulate the connections. Yeah, I'll think that one through later. But as I was saying, I had a lot of trouble with derailments, and so the last while I've taken time, to set a train out and just watch it closely as it goes around. And then I found in some cases the track wasn't perfectly aligned with a point, or the point wasn't perfectly aligned with the track. And so, I disconnected them, moved the track around a little bit, or moved the point, hooked it back up again, made sure that the fish plates were fully connected, solved the problem. But also sometimes wheel gauging can also be an issue, and couplings. When you get, a different type of couplings, they don't all line up perfectly, and sometimes they kind of lock in position, and so when it's going into a point, it will throw the one off. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. And yeah, Mark. Yeah, that may explain the observation that somebody had made to me that the older locos are not good candidates for DCC. I don't know what the answer is to that, and I guess I'd have to reach out to the broader community of those who run DCC, and there was H&M ammeter voltmeter to show draw on locals. This one on eBay, hen's teeth. Yeah, you see some people have the crimson 462. Yeah, I've got that. I've got it in crimson somewhere. But yeah, the whole idea of the older locos pulling more current. When you watch Barry Davis and Alan Reynolds, or even John Champ's old videos, you'll notice that they have meters checking what current's being pulled, whatever. I don't have that. I don't quite understand it. Like many things, I don't understand. But maybe it's a tool that would help in running. As I say, it's for some smarter guys than me that would be able to answer that question. but I need to cut and shut Mark III HRH and fit doors to it. Yeah, well, let's see. I don't think I would. I don't think I would get into that. I could do a bit of modelling. Yeah, no problem. I do model stuff from scratch, but it takes something that's kind of prized as one of those coaches and start cutting it. I'd be wearing my brown corduroys, as Billy Connolly would say, from the outset. Yeah. Yeah, and I've got one. I've got a nice multimeter, but I have to get my head around how it works. Once I understand what it is I'm looking for, or what I'm looking at, then I'll get the idea. You've seen this one. Now, I'll need to take it apart again because once again it has failed to proceed. And it's probably something simple. These things are always something simple, as long as you can get your head around it. Sometimes it's not as obvious, like a Ringfield motor that would have a tiny little wire at the one end of the motor. So, but they're all very basic, and just take your time and think about what's doing what, and check it. You'll get it, and that will be the case with this EM2, because there is that brass or copper sliding piece on the top that makes contact with the roof. That's a key. And I got a comment from somebody the other day there. Would you be interested in selling that Duff local for spares? No, I don't think so. I'm going to be fixing it. Anyway. The meter won't show the true current when you're running a PWM controller. But who cares? It'll certainly help if there's a short somewhere on the layout. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you learn something new every day. Anyway, lads, I think at this point I have exhausted all that I was wishing to speak about, and I'm not going to ramble on about nothing. So I'm just going to let you go now. And wait a minute, here's Bill. Always interested here. I worked on one of those and got it working without the connection to the contact on the roof. My understanding of that, Bill, was the plastic slider on the top. I'll just bring this in because this is interesting. So that middle plastic slider regulates whether you're running from the track or from the catenary. And I think it was Chams 123 that told me that it always had to be in there. I can't really say, but I'll take it apart. And XMG12, thanks for dropping by. We'll see you next time. stay safe out there. So, yeah, I'll take it apart, Bill, and just check. Sometimes, as you know, those pickups get out from behind the wheel, and that will cause it. All right, that's it from the one I worked on. No. Well, I think the first thing I have to do is get it running again. And, you know, last time I serviced it, I took everything apart, cleaned it all up, put it back together, got it running eventually. And I think, you know, the topic of the pickup on for the roof for the catenary was part of the issue. However, that was some time ago, and I may have forgotten exactly what steps I had taken. But I will get back to it and take it apart and see how things go, and let you know. Yeah, Tom, that's what I was just saying. It does do that. I'm just trying to think back of a conversation I had with John Chams, and he said, "Oh yeah, it has to be in this position." Now, he doesn't have catenary operating on his layout, so it wouldn't be for that reason. But that's a discussion for another time after I have a look at it. As I say, I'll check it out and see what the scoop is, and report back. So, all right, lads. Thanks very much for dropping by. Remember, give me the big thumbs up. You know how it works. We're all in it together. And I'll try and have something interesting next time round. Maybe have that working. Maybe have some different locos out. See how far I get with the bridge, and a little bit of modelling there. And who knows what else will come up within the week. So hopefully next Wednesday, around about the same time. And thanks very much, as I say, Tom, XMG, Double O Bill, Alan Reynolds, everybody who took the time, Barnabas Junction, Clive, White Wall Wheels. Good of you to drop by. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Donegal Dad, Paul Higgins, of course, Paul. Yeah, who did I miss? Did I miss anybody? Newland, Andrew Dobson. Yeah, I think I covered everybody. Alan Reynolds, yeah, it's Clive, yeah. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next week, around about the same time, and we'll catch you then. Bye for now.